To create a Pear Deck lesson, you can begin one of two ways. You can create it from scratch and start at the beginning, or you can use an already pre-made Google slide from your library. Now, I've created this Google slide to use, so I would like to add on some Pear Deck activities. The first thing I need to do is go to Add-ons and open the Pear Deck add-on. You will need to do this each time you create a Pear Deck interactive lesson. What's neat is there are pre-made templates for you. You can open up the template library, create a beginning, during, or end of lesson slide, and edit all of those. There are learning development activities, and there are also subject area specific pre-made activities for you. Now, of course, as a math teacher, I'm pretty excited about all the different math pre-made slides for me, but I have already created my lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding some interactive activities. Now, the first thing I want to do is actually open up the template library and do a beginning of the lesson activity. Now, I'm going to choose this first one, and it's automatically going to import into my Google slide. Now, I would like that one first. And what's neat here is I could change the character. I can move this anywhere I want. I can even move it off the slide, but the students will still know what they need to do. And I can edit the question here. Instead of what did you learn from the homework, I'm going to say, what questions from the homework do you have? The neat thing about this is when the answers pop up on the screen, if I choose to share them, they're all anonymous. So if students have specific questions about the homework, they can type in a number, they can type in a question, and no one will know who the question is from. Now I've got my beginning slide, my learning target, and here I would like to do a drop and drag type of activity. So I'm going to go back to the ask students a question, and I'm going to use draggable. Now, when I do that, I have a couple different choices here. So students will be able to drag it on their own, or I can do that as well. So I'm going to do a red dot, an orange dot, and a yellow dot. What's neat is I can change the dots. I can use symbols. I can add other numbers. I can add these icons. So I've got plenty of different choices, but for this activity, I'm going to stick with the dots. Now notice it's going to update the slide and not import a new slide. So students will be able to move the red dot, orange dot, and yellow dot to these three graphs to explain which one has one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. Now, my next slide here, I would like for students to fill in the blanks and draw a graph. So I'm going to use the draw option. What's neat is students will be able to include a text box, draw with a stylus, or even use some pens. Now, if you notice, there's no good spot for me to put this. So I'm going to drag it right off the slide so students won't see that, but they'll still see the directions and know what they need to do. So next, I've got a fill in the blank box here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the choice. So the equation 2 equals -2 is fill in the blank. So here, my choices are going to be always, never, or sometimes. The slide will automatically populate, and students will be able to answer the question as they go through. Now I'm going to take a look at this slide where I want the students to also fill in the blank. In this case, I'm just going to pick the text option. So here the students can type equation 1 and their answer, equation 2 and their answer. Next, I'm going to scroll down to this. Now, I really want my students to graph this activity, and I want them to use Desmos. So I'm going to embed a website here by typing in the website that I want the students to use. What's nice is it'll pop up just like this. Now I'm going to update the slide. So students will now be able to use Desmos to answer this question. Next, I would like students to work on their own here. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a bit, but I would like each one of these slides to be a text slide where students can put in their answers. In this case, even though the answers would be numbers, I don't want to choose the number option here because it only allows for one number. Well, I'll need an X value and a Y value. So I'm going to go ahead and add text here. And then I'm going to go down to the end, open up my template library, and pick an end of the lesson reflection. One of my favorites is this one. Pretend a student was absent today from class. What would you say if you had to explain the lesson to the friend? Now, if you notice, it's not quite where I wanted to put it, so I'm going to put it right down here at the end. There are other options here for me. Another option that I have is to add audio to any slide. I'm going to click on the Add Audio to Slide, and I'll have two choices. I can record my own voice, or I can upload. In this case, I would like to record. Please wait here for instructions. You may go back and look over your class notes if you would like. Of course, I would like to save. Now, I may save up to 30 minutes of an audio file. I highly discourage a 30-minute audio file as you may lose the students after a few minutes. I'm going to add audio file, and then a small little icon will pop up in the top corner. If I would like, I could move that, and I can also resize it to make sure that the students see that. I may not change the name of that icon, but students will now know they need to click on that link to hear an audio message. To share this with your students, you will want to start lesson. Do not hit present, as that will make it a Google slide, not a Pear Deck lesson. So you will always want to click start lesson. In the next video, I will show you what this looks like.